Good morning. Welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the intern minister, AJ Juraska, and my pronouns are they, them. This congregation is a chosen village of all ages where we share our lives and work to become the people we've always wanted to be and build the world we've always wanted to live in. Whoever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are on life's journey, all who are welcoming are welcomed here. And it is good to be here together this morning. Yeah. So let's sing, Please Rise in Body or in Spirit. This is number 1017, Building a New Way, and please remain standing for the chalice lighting and sung response.
Today, our chalice is being lit by Rosie. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world and who we are together matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world. Please join me in the sung response. Hello and welcome to this house of hope. My name is Renee Garcia and I use she, her pronouns. I love this church because I find whenever I'm here, I'm learning something new. And that's why I participate in things like the Bring Your Own Practice group and the religious education we had this morning where we talked about being in covenant. I'd like to give a special welcome to anyone visiting for the first time. I encourage you to stop by our table in the Welcome Center. We've got a goodie bag for you. We'll sign you up for the weekly email bulletin, and we'll answer any questions you may have. After the service, we hope you'll stick around for a few minutes and have some coffee with us. We'd love to get to know you better. This community has events happening all throughout the week. I encourage you to go to our website at liveoakuu.org and click on What's Happening every Sunday night so that you can fill out your schedule for the week ahead. One thing happening after the service today is our young adult gathering for folks between the ages of 18 and 39-ish. They will meet in room 209 for connection, conversation, and community.
The Bronze Acorn is awarded to a team or a group that has helped Live Oak advance an aspect of our mission. This month, the Executive Committee is awarding it to a group of leaders who helped us to enrich our connections with each other by creating or reviving the men's group, new member pizza, church ladies' lunch, circle suppers, and bring your own prayer or practice. We now call to the chancel Tim Buckley, Margaret Sheehan, Karen Santanum, Barbara Coldiron, Betty Johnson, and Wayne Gregory. Thank you for your leadership, your ingenuity, and your time and energy. And now, will the congregation please join me in saying, thank you.
In our world, many voices are silenced. Many truths remain unspoken because the speaker fears rejection, judgment, or worse. Our financial offerings today help sustain this congregation as a place where all voices are heard, where truth can be spoken without fear, where vulnerability is met with compassion. We give in gratitude for this beloved community and with hope for a world where more voices can speak the truth. And now an offering will be taken to sustain this work of this church.
Thank you. That was lovely. Good morning. I'm Chris Jarman. I'm your Director of Lifespan Faith Development. And yeah. Thank you. And I want to invite our little friends that if you want to, you can come to the center aisle so you'll have a better look at the pictures. Because today I'm doing a picture book. So, thank you. So today I want to tell you a true story that really happened. And in Natick, Massachusetts, there was a neighborhood that looked just like any other. It isn't the biggest, it isn't the fanciest. Many pass through not realizing the secret that makes it shine. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is celebrated. Everyone helps each other. Kids play at each other's houses. Dogs greet one another on walks. Adults buy lemonade from the children's stands. And people move in. When people move in, neighbors bring a bounty of foods from their different cultures so that they can enjoy the many flavors of their new home. When Carrie, one of the neighbors, married, everyone was happy to meet her wife, Lori, and their dogs, Twink and Scout, and they were welcome too. "We've got something for you, Brendan," one of the neighborhood kids said, pulling the dog biscuits from the bowl, giving them to Twink and Scout, who ate them up. Roar, 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 roar. And they covered them with kisses too. You know how dogs are. They like to slobber on you and kiss you. They wagged their tails and they crunched their treats and they said thank you. And Carrie said she'd like to buy a lemonade. Landon saw a bright cloth hanging out of Lori's bag. "What's that?" he asked. "It's a rainbow flag." "A rainbow flag?" "Yeah, do you think it will look nice on our house?" "It's beautiful," Summer said, her fingers tracing over the bright colors. "Can we help put it up?" Brandon asked, and Landon nodded eagerly because he wanted to help too. "We have a ladder," said Summer. Carrie and Lori loved their neighborhood, where everyone was welcome. Look at all the different ways people are welcome. I like the dog treat. Then one day when Brandon passed by their house, something felt wrong. He squeezed his brakes. It was too quiet. No Twink, no Scout scampering to greet him. He didn't even hear a bark. And something was missing. Was it their flag? Brandon now saw Kari and Lori scrubbing sticky bits of yolk from their walls and their windows. Twink and Scout were whimpering, curled in balls at their feet. A broken mount swayed from where the flag had waved. What happened? Carrie told him that they found their house this way when they got home. Why? Brandon felt the hurt his friends were feeling, like a stone in his stomach. Nothing like this had ever happened in his neighborhood before. Maybe someone doesn't like our flag, Lori said. Maybe someone doesn't like us, Carly added. Can you get another flag? Brendan asked, and have someone do this again? Lori wiped her eyes. I'm sorry, Brendan. I thought this was a neighborhood where everyone was welcome. But now, not so sure. That was what Brendan loved about his neighborhood too, that everyone was welcome. Had it changed? Was it broken? Like Kari and Lori's flag? How could it be fixed? Could Kari and Lori feel welcome again? Brendan pedaled slowly to the lemonade stand, and he told his friends what happened. Summer kicked a rock. Why would anybody do that? She asked. And they thought. None of them had an answer. So they thought of another question. What can we do? Summer said at last. I've seen rainbow flags at a store, Landon said. We could get them another one? Brendan sighed. Lori is worried that someone might steal it or egg her house again. Summer lined up some of the paper cups from the lemonade stand and said, we could build them a wall and we could protect their house. And Brandon scratched his head and said, or we could set up a patrol and take turns guarding their porch. And Landon clenched his fist. Or we could find out who did this and egg their house too. But none of their ideas seemed right for the neighborhood where everyone was welcome. They didn't want to separate their friends with a wall or treat them like enemies. They needed to find a way to bring everyone together, to show love that was big enough to heal the hurt. Then suddenly a plan came to them. Would it work? Could they get other kids to help? Would their neighbors come through? Brendan, Landon, and Summer biked to the store that had the flags. They told the man at the counter what they wanted to do, and he grinned. "Take as many as you want," he said, and he helped them load them onto their bikes. And as they rolled by, the kids playing in the street asked what they were doing with the flags. Soon a parade was biking, scootering, and walking to every house in the neighborhood. Yes, people said yes. They took the flags one by one. Not everyone had a mount, but everyone took a flag. Some hung a flag on a door, some across a porch, some on a fence, and one in a big tree next to the cat. The children brought the last flag to Carrie and Lori's house, and they cheered as Carrie and Lori hung the flag on their door. Twink and Scout jumped and slobbered on everybody's hands and faces. Together, Carrie, Lori, the adults and kids walked up and down the bumpy sidewalk. Together, they admired how all the families were all different, but were united, like the different colors on the flag, the rainbow flag. And once again, their neighborhood was a place where everyone is welcome, where everyone is celebrated, where everyone helps each other. In this story, we met kids who noticed that their neighbors, a family with 2 moms and 2 awesome dogs, have had their pride flag torn down and their house egged. It was scary, it was hurtful, but the kids didn't look away. They decided to do something. They got together and they made rainbow drawings and banners, and they collected flags, and they filled the families' yards in the neighborhood with signs of love and welcome. That's what it looks like to live in covenant. In Unitarian Universalism, when we talk about covenant, we mean the promises that we make to each other about how we want to live together in community. Our covenant isn't just words on paper, it's something we do. The kids didn't make an official covenant. They didn't sit down and write a covenant, but they lived one. They promised through their actions to take care of their neighbors, to say, "You are not alone, you are safe, we will stand beside you." And that's what UU Covenant is all about. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being just for inside our church walls. It's about how we show love and kindness and justice in the world around us. So when we see someone being left out, hurt, or treated unfairly, our covenant calls us to be like the Rainbow Ally kids, to step up and say, "You belong." What do we say? You belong. What do we say? You belong. Do you have to do this alone? No. No, you are never alone. So this week, choose how you can help, how you can be an ally to someone, and to live, as we say in our saplings group, how have you this week? And with that, our story is told. Thank you for coming up to see the pictures. You guys are awesome.
Please rise for our theme hymn, number 1053, How Could Anyone? Our reading today is titled A Covenant Invites Relationship by Lisa Ward. A covenant is not a definition of a relationship. It is the framework for our relating. A covenant leaves room for change and chance. It is humble toward evolution. It claims, I will abide with you in this common endeavor, be present as best I can in our becoming. This calls for a level of trust, courage, and sacrifice that needs to be nurtured, renewed, and affirmed on a regular basis. A creed creates a static truth, something that does not incorporate new insights and realities. A covenant is a dance of co-creation, keeping in step with one another in the flow of our lives. A creed seeks uniformity and a unison voice. A covenant seeks harmony and a shared voice. Sometimes we may arrive at a unison, but it is not required. A creed gives authority to the statement. A covenant gives authority to shared intention. A creed creates an us and them. A covenant invites relationship. A creed is a prescription that must be relied on. A covenant relies on the treasures of shared truth. The overall trust within this covenant is in the truth with a capital T, something which no one person can fully see, yet something which each and every person can come to know in glimpses, in another story, in epiphanies. Truth is ever-changing and are seeking to understand because of our limited perspectives. We grow into a deeper sense of the meaning of all things when we take our journeys seriously with full heart and mind. The courage within this covenant is in the acceptance and celebration of life, with all its challenges, pain, ironies, and joys. And the sacrifice within this covenant is in the letting go of dogma, of assumptions, of control, and giving over to a greater wisdom which comes to us in bits and pieces. The task of this covenant is to take responsibility for the freedom we espouse. We know that we are interconnected and that what we do creates ripples of hope or despair, of affirmation or negation. What we do with and for one another is powerful and beyond our imagining.
The time was 3,000 years ago. The place was ancient Egypt. Saul was king, and the Israelites were in a battle against the Philistines. Now, some of you may know this story. The Philistines had a secret weapon, a man named Goliath, who was very tall, had very strong armor, and a big spear. And Goliath stepped forward and he said, I challenge any of the Israelites to take me one-on-one, and if you defeat me, then we will leave the Israelites alone. So David, a young man, really a boy, stepped forward and said, I will take on Goliath. Now, all the Israelites were scared, and they didn't think that anyone could defeat Goliath, let alone this boy who was a sheep herd. But David said, I know how to defeat animals like lions and bears to protect my herd. I can take on Goliath. So David steps up, and Goliath comes forward, and David looses his slingshot, and in one fell swoop, he fells Goliath, and he wins the day. Now, this is just the beginning of our story, because King Saul brought David over and was talking to him, and this was the moment when Jonathan met David. Now, there are many stories in the Bible that we may have heard or we may not have heard because we learn selective stories growing up. But I think this one is pretty special because at the very least, when Jonathan met David, he met a lifelong friend. But maybe, and I'm going to read the biblical text so you can judge for yourself, it was a little bit more than friendship. So in 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 through 4, we learn when David had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was bound to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. Jonathan stripped himself of the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, and his armor, and even his sword, and his bow, and his belt. So there are things in the Bible that we haven't been taught, like Jonathan giving his clothes to David in this covenant. So make of that what you will, but this is in the Bible. Now, David became a military leader for the Israelites, and he was a very good military leader. There were songs written about him that said, King Saul killed thousands and David killed tens of thousands. So obviously killing is not what we want, but in this setting, it makes David sound very good. And King Saul was a very jealous man, and so he became very jealous of Saul and of David, and in fact tries to kill him twice, but David evades him. So then we come to 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 1 through 3, which say, Saul spoke with his son Jonathan and with all his servants about killing David. But Saul's son Jonathan took great delight in David. Jonathan told David, my father Saul is trying to kill you. Therefore, be on guard tomorrow morning. Stay in a secret place and hide yourself. I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak to my father about you. If I learn anything, I will tell you. So Jonathan abides by his covenant with David, and he stands up to his father, and he goes to his father, King Saul, and King Saul promises not to kill David. So David is back in Saul's good graces momentarily. Because it doesn't last long, and surprise, surprise, Saul gets jealous again and tries to kill David. So David flees and talks to Jonathan, who agrees to check with his father again. And this is what we hear in 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 16 through 17. Thus Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, May the Lord seek out the enemies of David, And Jonathan made David swear again by his love for him, for he loved him as he loved his own life. So Jonathan talks to his father, but this time he can't convince King Saul to leave David alone. So Jonathan warns David, and David gets away. Now, a little while later, in 1 Samuel chapter 23, David was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horesh when he learned that Saul had come to seek his life. Saul's son Jonathan set out and came to David at Horesh. There he strengthened his hand through the Lord. He said to him, "Do not be afraid, for the hand of my father Saul will not find you. You shall be king over Israel. I shall be second to you. My father Saul knows this also is so." Then the two of them made a covenant before the Lord, and David remained at Horesh, and Jonathan went home. Now, this is a very long story, and basically it ends up being a civil war between David and King Saul. And there's a lot of battle, and David actually saves King Saul's life twice. But eventually David prevails, and his armies kill King Saul and Jonathan, much to David's dismay. And David writes this song about the loss of Jonathan, and he teaches it to all of his people, and he asks them to sing it in remembrance of Jonathan because so great is his grief. And the last verse of the song from 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 26 is, "Jonathan lies slain upon your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. Greatly beloved were you to me. Your love was wonderful, passing the love of women." So again, draw what conclusions you will, but this is in the Bible. Now, this is where our story of David and Jonathan ends. And you may be asking, what does a story from 3,000 years ago have to do with today? Why are we talking about this biblical story? But I would argue there's a lot to learn about what we can do when there's strife and distress in protecting one another by using covenants. And I think there are 3 things that we can learn from this story. First of all, covenants are renewed. We don't just make a covenant and it just stays there and we don't live it out. No, we continue to live it out and it evolves over time. And in this case, these were explicit covenants between David and Jonathan, but a lot of our covenants are implicit. They are relationships that we have with one another, like in our story today, where the children implicitly knew that they needed to protect their neighbors and show their neighbors that they stood by them. Covenants also don't expire in the face of fear. They become even more important, and we have to strengthen them over time by showing up and standing up to the people who get in the way of the covenants. So in our story with David and Jonathan, we see that the covenants become stronger. Initially, we don't learn much about what the covenant says, but later we learn that Jonathan is going to protect David through the covenant. And finally, we learn through the covenant that David is in fact going to be king, and Jonathan will help him be king at all costs, even though Jonathan would have been king had he not supported David. Finally, the third thing that we learn is that Jonathan uses his privilege as the son of the king to protect David, who, while he becomes a military leader and is very good at what he does, still doesn't have the same standing as the king. So we are facing great difficulty now. And I want to talk about one group in particular, even though many groups are being targeted right now, as we know. And I want to talk a little bit about our trans brothers and sisters and siblings, because there have been threats in the last several weeks against the trans community that are very scary, and many of us are feeling very afraid of what might happen. So we need to take the lessons of Jonathan and Saul and learn about covenants and apply the 3 things that we learned from David and Jonathan, which is we need to continue to renew our covenants with each other, explicitly and implicitly by showing up for each other, and particularly showing up for marginalized groups like trans, non-binary, and intersex folks. We need to make sure that we have bathrooms we can use and that people are going to go with us to bathrooms when they're unsafe for us to be in alone. We need to stand up against fear for our covenants with each other. Now, fear is protective, so I'm not asking people who are marginalized to go out and do things that they're not comfortable doing. But I am asking, if you have privilege, please come out and show that you are brave, not by not being afraid, but in fact, bravery requires fear. Because if we don't have fear, then there's nothing to be brave about. So please show up and show solidarity with our trans, non-binary, and intersex community. Finally, we need to use our privilege to protect one another. Now, all of us come with different amounts of privilege. So I'm a white, non-binary person who has relative economic comfort. So I have some privileges and some areas where I'm less privileged. So I can use my voice in some spaces and not in others. And we need to be aware of where we can stand up for others and where we need to take care of ourselves. From our reading today, covenants claim, I will abide with you in this common endeavor, be present as best I can in our becoming. This calls for a level of trust, courage, and sacrifice that needs to be nurtured, renewed, and affirmed on a regular basis. I'm not asking you to run out and find a trans person and make a covenant with them. That would be tokenism, so don't do that. But do find communities that are leading in this work. Follow trans people and connect with the work that is already happening. You don't have to start something new, and create implicit covenants with them by showing up again and again and showing that you care for these causes. Chase Strangio had an Instagram post where he talks about some of the things that we can do. For cis people, he says we can be loud in defense of trans people, donate to trans-led organizations and trans people's fundraisers. So there are a lot of, like I said, a lot of work happening, and we want to be led by trans people who are most affected by this work by giving our time, treasure, and talent. Finally, love your trans people fiercely and publicly. There's a new law, not a new law, there's a proposal that the FBI might categorize trans activists as terrorists. And we need to speak out and say, these are not terrorists, these are people who are loving trans folks and saying that it is violence to harm them and to pass some of these laws, but that's not terrorism. So we need to speak out against these proposals because otherwise they get by without any resistance. For trans people, please find your people. We are here. And we are here to support each other, and we need each other now more than ever. Find your chosen family and stick with them because we will protect you. Our reading today ended with the line, what we do with and for one another is powerful beyond our imagining. I know these times are scary. There's a lot happening in this world right now. But I believe in a better future. And I know that we can have a beautiful future with the diversity of identities like trans, non-binary, and intersex folks included in those futures. So please do what you can, follow the work that's already happening, and stand with people who are being attacked, because together we can build a better future. Thank you. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, prayer cannot bring water to parched fields or mend a broken bridge or rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. I would add that it is where we give words to the yearning of our hearts. In that spirit, let us pray. So today we'll have a breath prayer. A breath prayer is where you focus on your breath and on breathing in and out. And as you breathe in and out, You can silently say to yourself a prayer, or you can say, when I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. So let us have a breath prayer, knowing that the sounds of children and others are part of our prayer. Being in community, we share our lives with each other, including the significant milestones, joys, and sorrows. Today, Emily shares, Wednesday makes 4 years since my son passed. I'm struggling. Tina shares, foot surgery went very well on Friday. I am so grateful for all the support I have received. Colleen shares, I am very excited about the retreat next weekend. I am also concerned about the thyroid surgery I will have this week. Hopefully good outcomes for both. Rosie shares, I have my first dance performance on Friday. Wish me luck. Ren shares, my joy today is my bully got suspended. Now please join me in singing. May you be in covenant in a way that supports your well-being and your love. And may you support the covenants you have by being close with one another and showing up in times of despair and distress. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Please rise and join us in singing number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, and remain standing for the extinguishing of our chalice.
We are
Let us say these words to each other as we extinguish our chalice. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. It has been a gift to be together today. Thank you to today's home, and that stands for Hospitality and Membership Team, who provided hospitality and worship and tech leadership. That includes Mike, Daniel, Luke, Mary, Charles, Rosie, Sue, and Melissa. Let's continue that hospitality by spending the next 5 minutes talking with someone we don't know yet. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any first-time visitors we have. They're the ones with the handwritten name tags. Show them where the visitors' table is and where to find the coffee. And may we all know the blessings of fellowship.